Next, let's take a look at the game conditions. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to get that image in the background so it looks nicer. How do we score points? How does the game end? We're basically going to flip those two, because when the food leaves the bottom of the screen, I want the game to end. And when I touch them, I want the points to get scored. And then finally, we just need to probably mess with the difficulty a little bit. But let's take care of those other things first. Okay, so Pygame image load is the move for doing this. And when we want to add a background image, we're going to basically create the image like this, and then we need to blit the image onto the screen. Okay, so I'm going to take those, and I'm going to look down here. We're going to scroll all the way down because this happens every time the game loop happens. We're going to take the screen fill and get rid of that. And we are going to use bgimage equals pygame.image.load. I'm loading the skate background image. And then I'm blitting the image onto the screen. Notice, blit always takes two major arguments. Number one, the image or the surface. And number two argument is a tuple that has the coordinates. So I'm giving the left hand the coordinates for the upper left corner of that image. So that's what blit takes by default. Let's take a look. And now it's starting to come together, folks. Look at that. This is going to be a very difficult game. I think a skateboarder needs to move faster, first of all. All right, so we're getting real close here. Let's take care of the score. Okay, let's take care of the score first. Okay, so I am going to look right here because this is where you get points. And so what I want to do is every time the player touches an enemy, I want to increment the score. There's a really nice thing here. There are two methods here that are very similar. There's sprite collide any, and there is sprite collide. And this one takes a third argument, true or false. It's a Boolean argument that says, should I remove the sprite that it collides with? So if this player collides with this and I have this set to true, then whatever it collides with disappears from the screen. It kills it automatically. So it's really nice, because what that means is we only need to do one more thing, and that is increment the score. So test, test, test. It's always good to test every time you do anything major. So let's see if the score increments. And it does, and I would have already lost, but I am getting points for this. Really nice. That score's kind of a light color up there. So where is my score? Because I want to change that from white to black. Let's see. Score, there it is. Okay, so 255, 255, 255 is white. That's the score color. I'm going to save that. Okay, so this is the draw score function. Very simple. Blitz the score onto the surface, and then we are calling that down here. Okay, so very simple. I don't even need a function for that, but I created one anyway. But now the score is black, which is much more visible on that light blue background. So we're doing good. Now I got to do the game ending thing, which, as you recall, is in the enemy class. Okay, so if the top reaches the screen height, we are not going to add one. Don't want that. What am I doing? Okay, so now equals false. Okay, so now you'll recall that running is a variable that is right here that powers that loop. But if I want to change that variable, I need to change that to a global because it's inside that method so that I'm actually able to change that running variable from there. So this is a legit use of global. If you have things inside of functions that you want to control that, that's what you need to do. So let's run this thing and see how fast I lose. Okay, so let's let that happen. And the game ends just the way it's supposed to. So now we've got the image on the background, points are scored, the game ends properly. Now I just needed to fix the difficulty. I think the first thing I want to do is I want my little skateboarder to be able to move significantly faster. So I'll change the speed from 5 to 9, almost double that. Yeah, that feels better. I'm still not going to be able to win this very well. Okay, so maybe we want to slow down those first enemies a little bit more. So let's go between 1 and 2. And maybe that's going to help us out a little bit more. And we could also, don't forget that we could set that to a variable amount too, and we could change that timer or add enemies at a higher frequency. Other things you could do to this game to make it more interesting might be like adding special items that are worth more points, or you could give him the ability to jump. That would be a fun thing to add. You could have him be able to jump so he could reach higher things, or you could have like every once in a while a car drives down the street and you have to jump over the car or you die. Like there's a lot of cute little ways that you can improve or elaborate on games like this, but you get the basic idea, and that is really it. So that takes us from a very basic game all the way to kind of what I was envisioning here. So